Hello and welcome back to the channel. Very special video today. I'm joined by Trey from, as you can see behind him, Reactions to the Classics.
Look at that.
Very, very cool of Trey to join me for a video today. We did a video ranking the discography of Radiohead, and it's something we're going to try and do with some other artists down the line. Over on his channel, I'll leave the link for that. I maybe want some more people to check it out, get some more engagement on that one. But today, sort of as a companion piece, we're going to do the top 10 songs of the same band. So I guess just if you want to give an introduction on Radiohead, like we kind of did with the albums video.
Yeah, man. First off, thanks for having me on here, Tom. I really enjoyed our album ranking video. So yeah, definitely be sure to go and check that out. And the hot takes, tell us how wrong we were. Yeah, I found, Tom, just like the albums that were difficult to rank. Like these songs, I was looking at my honorable mentions, and I'm like, man, I really left this off my top 10. But it's just there's only 10, man. So when people always say, I can't believe this or that isn't on, and you got to look at your list and be like, well, what's coming off, right? What's going to be replacing? So I'm quite looking forward to seeing where we land, because I mean, with a group like Radiohead, who has such a solid discography, right? And we touched on this in the album ranking video, that there are so many great records that they have put out in so many different styles too, right? So I imagine if you like electronic and more ambient type music, that you're probably going to have more Kid A and Amnesiac stuff than is on my list. I mean, both those albums do make an appearance on my list here, but whereas if you're liking more kind of the rock and stuff, I'm gonna assume you have some more, the Bends and OK Computer, Hail to the Thief, and so on. And if you're just a sad sap, you just have all of a Moonshaped Pool on your top 10 probably. But yeah, man. So I'm looking forward to really diving into this. And I mean, Radiohead, one of our favorite groups, Tom. And I will say with this list is truly one where you ask me tomorrow, I could have a totally different type list. Like even my number one, it's my number one right now, but shoot, that might change by the time I turn off this video recording, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how your process was doing that, Tom. Because for some groups, I really have like, this is my favorite song by them. Not really the case for me with Radiohead, because there's so many I enjoy that are kind of vying for that spot.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of talked off air that I'd drawn up my list when we recorded the albums video a few weeks ago now. I looked at it today and I was like, top 7 I kind of agree with. After that, I was like, whoa, this is not.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there are a few songs that are like mainstays, but even that top 7, the order changes quite a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think as with any artist, I have the ones that I'm biased towards. I have the sentimental value with, the ones I've always liked. But then there are also ones that can grow on you, and I get into that with some of my songs, I know. So I can't remember who went first for the albums, but I'll let you go first since you're the guest. So
wow, the guest, I appreciate it, Tom. What an honor. Well, I'm and just kind of piggybacking off what you said, my list is, I kind of went into it, one, just personally how much I enjoyed the songs, two, how innovative they are, how well they stand up to repeated listens, just a structure, lyrics, instrumental performances, Tom's vocals, just kind of all into one right there. And so that's kind of my rationale. But I'm starting my number 10 off with a Hail to the Thief track, not one that maybe most people would be thinking of. It's not going to be 2 + 2 = 5 or anything like that. I'm going Myxomatosis, which I don't think is going to appear on a lot of people's top 10s. That's why I had to put it on here above some of the other honorable mentions. I was like, you know what, this song, that fuzzy bass that comes in, is just like such a rush and a wall of sound, so to speak. And ever since the first time I've heard Hail to the Thief, Tom, this track for some reason has always just stood out to me. And I think Tom displays quite a charisma on the track. I particularly like the refrain, they would cheering and wave, and just kind of the way he says that. And in the live performances as well, the song's even better in my opinion. Radiohead, great live group as well, that I don't think they're brought up enough when you're talking just fantastic live acts. And man, fingers crossed I'll be able to see them live at some point someday, and hopefully they play Myxomatosis. But that's going to be my my number 10. And heck, any song that's named after a disease that rabbits get, yeah, you already got to be intrigued a little bit there. But that is my number 10. I'm already getting my shields out to defend it.
Well, I mean, I think that the bottom few spots are where you can experiment a little bit with your list,
Mhm.
the real personal picks. I remember the first time, it's not going to make my list, spoilers. Although I love Hail to the Thief, so
Mhm.
I'm not going to complain about it. I remember the first time I heard that song, the bass is so fuzzy. I didn't realize it was a bass. I thought
Yeah,
it was a
exactly. It
synth.
almost sounded like a,
Yeah.
I don't know, synthesizer that was really, manipulated or something like that.
So, I mean, yeah, as no one needs to be told that Nigel Godrich is a genius producer,
Yeah.
but he is.
Yeah.
So there you go. My number 10, funnily enough, we're sticking with Hail to the Thief, but I'm
Okay.
going with a bit more of the traditional choice. I did consider Go to Sleep.
Mhm.
Love that song, kind of a bit of an Americana vibe to it. But 2 plus 2 equals 5 is my choice.
Yeah. Great choice.
Absolutely, they're a band with some amazing opening tracks, but this is one of the best. Uh, Momentum is amazing. Tom gives an absolutely wild vocal performance on here.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like deranged. It's amazing. The distorted guitars are fantastic. The rhythm section, as it always is fantastic. It's just the way to open an album is amazing, and the way it just explodes in the last sort of 30 seconds of the
Mhm.
song is really great. And I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, "Yep, I'm enjoying this album." And then throughout the album, my enjoyment carried on. But that was definitely my favorite on Hail to the Thief. So I had to get 2 plus 2 equals 5 in to
Yeah.
represent the most underrated album. So
No, I can't complain about that either. And just like you mentioned, man, that explosion of sound that happens. Radiohead's so good at building up those tracks, and then you just got Tom going in, paying attention, paying attention. I just love that portion of the tune, and yeah, I'm glad you gave it some love, man, because it is a fantastic opener off of a fantastic record.
number 9.
So, no, my number 9, man. My number 9, I'm going with a closer now, and we're gonna shift gears to Amnesiac, another one that I think my 1 through 8 is going to be, tracks that appear on a lot of people's lists, but my 9 and 10 spots were kind of more wild cards, so to speak. But I'm going with Radiohead getting a bit jazzy here on the closer to Amnesiac, Life in a Glass House. Man, this is one too. It is my favorite track actually off of Amnesiac. No disrespect to Pyramid Song, did not appear on my top 10. I know that's a lot of people's a favorite Radiohead track or top 10, but didn't quite make it, even though it's a great song. But this one has a clarinet solo, which again just shows the diversity that Radiohead can employ in their tracks, right? And they got help by a trumpeter, Humphrey Littleton, who he kind of helped Johnny and Tom kind of bring the song as a whole in together. And I just think when that horn section hits in, it just it's just a bit different, right? Just from what you would expect from Radiohead going in, especially on Amnesiac, which has so many different type of electronic music type of textures. They really dip their toes into the jazzy waters right here. There is a performance on Jules Holland that also is really, really strong that I would encourage people to check out, and has kind of a full brass section in there that's impressive, man. So I'm giving the nod to that as my number 9.
Spoilers, if you haven't gone back and checked the album ranking, we told you to, so you should have. But Amnesiac didn't rank very high for me. It was my number 7.
It was around there for me too. Yeah.
But Once Upon a Time, even though it's never really escaped that 7-6 spot, I would have had 2 Amnesiac songs in my top 10, being Life in a Glass House and You and Whose Army. So both those tracks I've
Nice.
always absolutely adored, and even then they probably wouldn't scratch a top 20 now, which is how
Yeah.
for this band. My number 9 is probably my prediction. Is it going to be a number 1? It might be. And this is a song that would never have, we were sort of talking about songs growing on us. This would never have been in my top 10, a year and a half ago, 18 months ago. It's Let Down from OK Computer.
Ooh.
which I know
Ooh,
is
nice.
one of your dad's favorite songs of all time. Um,
That's right. Yeah.
and really, this is a weird one for me because when I was first getting into the album, I was watching your guys' video
Mhm.
on the album. Very good review. Should check it out.
You're
And
making
I
me
remember
blush here, Tom.
I'm just fanboying all over you. Um, but I remember when that video, you guys were both like, "Let Down, man, it's amazing." And then the more Radiohead sort of I would get into them, I would check out other podcasts and other videos, and it was
Mhm.
"Let Down, Let Down, Let Down." I was like, "What is the deal with this song? It's pretty good. Like, I like it. Obviously, it's on a computer, so I like it." But I never really got into it, and then I just had a phase of just thinking, "Yeah, this is incredible." It's the slow build. It's not an immediate song. It's sort of there are quite a lot of Radiohead songs
Mhm.
like that. To be honest, there were some songs I
Yeah.
hated the first time I heard them, and they
Mhm.
slowly wormed their way into my sort of consciousness. And
No,
that's
I'd say they're maybe that top group for me where their songs grow the most
yeah,
on you with repeated listens, and if not, they're in that top tier at the very least.
yeah. And I know people have an issue with Tom's vocals at times, and on certain
Mhm.
songs, like Bones, for example, on the Bends, I hated that song, like
Yeah.
hated it for a long time. But now I think it's great. So anyway, Let Down, gorgeous vocals as you'd expect from Tom on this album.
Mhm.
Again, the sort of the vocal layering is really masterful. The sort of slow section that slowly
Yeah.
rises up again. Um, Very universal theme in the song.
Mhm.
The sound, fantastic. Can't complain. Let Down is amazing. Number 9.
Dude, no, I'm glad because I know your backstory with the track, so I didn't expect it to honestly appear on
Yeah,
your top 10, but I'm glad it did, dude. And I have more to say about it, but it'll appear later on down the list, So little teaser for the people at home. But I guess my number 8 is going to be off of your favorite Radiohead record here, Tom. One of my favorite Radiohead records, In Rainbows. And there's so many great tracks on In Rainbows. I have multiple on this list, but first one that's appearing is going to be Body Snatchers. Man, second track, and I just think yet again, I don't know what it is. I guess the fuzziness again on the guitar effects. I just love. I guess I just resonate with that whenever Radiohead pulls it off. Quite a hypnotic track. It's one that I could just loop and repeat and just play over and over and over again. I think the bridge section in particular is just very cathartic. The guitar riff just glides so smoothly over Tom's, questions of has the light gone out for you? Because the light's gone out for me. It is the 21st century. I just love the cadence and the way that he plays that out. And much like Letdown, I think it does build up well. And I'm not saying it's on the level of Letdown per se, but it's right up there. It's a great track. And it was between this and because I really like the opener 15 step as well off of In Rainbows, but I like Body Snatchers just a little bit more, so it eked into this top 10 right here for me.
I'm not going to comment on In Rainbows. I'm not going to say anything apart from that it's my favorite album of all time. So if you think I'm not going to have any In Rainbows on this top 10, then you're insane. But
You're sadly mistaken.
my number 8, I took a lot of flack for my opinions on this album, and one song in particular. I won't spoil the video, but there is one song that I don't get the hype for that the commenters they didn't enjoy that, but that's fine. It's Kid A. It's one of the most acclaimed albums. For a while, my favorite song on it was the national anthem. Then for a
Mhm.
while, it was Everything Its Right Place, but it's kind of
Yeah,
settled now at being motion picture soundtrack, which I think
there you go.
with a discography full of heartbreaking songs, this might be their most heartbreaking.
It's bleak, dude. It's sad. It's that sad that
Uh,
you hardly ever reach. That 2 a.m. sad.
yeah, it's one of those songs where it's like you're listening to something in color,
Hmm.
especially the second half of the song. The organ is amazing, just some beautiful production touches, and just such a vulnerable vocal performance.
Hmm.
if you don't like sad music, don't listen to this. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah, if
do
you're not
like
a sad
sad,
music fan, Radiohead's probably not the group for you in general, right?
well, there's a few songs. There's a few songs. But yeah, motion picture soundtrack is just fantastic. I most it's a bit of a fan favorite, really.
Mhm.
It sort of ditches the electronica of Kid A as sort of like a
Mhm.
coming back down to earth from this sort of alien experience that the album is.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's one of the few tracks probably, Tom, I don't know if you'll agree with this, on Kid A that could fit on, almost any of their records, right? And not feel so out of place. Whereas you
yeah,
put everything in its right place on, on something else, it'd be like, I don't know, this doesn't really fit.
but then again, it's just also a completely unique sound for them. They've never
Mhm.
done anything like this. So
Mhm.
yeah, my number 8 is a motion picture soundtrack.
No, man, I love that pick right there, Tom. It was initially on my top 10 at number 9, and then it just again on the outside looking in here. But for my number 7, we're gonna keep at Kid A. Actually, my only song from the record that appeared on my list, and it's gonna be a song you actually just mentioned a little bit ago. It's gonna be the national anthem. I think one of the great bass lines in music history is right here. Which kind of originates back to when Tom was around 16 years old. He was, kind of playing around, messing with that, and here we are, all those years later. He was able to bring it out the vault. Horn section as well, inspired by jazz legend Charles Mingus. So I don't know, maybe it's something about these horn sections Radiohead employs as well. I like Me Life in a Glass House, and I'm digging the national anthem right here. I really think that this again just shows not going to harken on their history, but coming off of OK Computer, like just the sonic experimentation that this song is. It's another one that's kind of in left field kind of in their discography, right? They don't really have many tracks that sound like the national anthem. And I, for one, here in America, would be totally okay if we replaced our national anthem with the national anthem by Radiohead. I don't know if the populace would get down with that, but I think it's just a wild and free song that kind of reflects the anxiety that a lot of Kid A kind of has, brimming underneath the surface.
Yeah, great description of it there. It's funny we've lined up on a couple albums so far, but not songs yet.
Mhm.
My number 7, I don't think you're going to have this one. This is probably my most personal choice on
Mhm.
the list. Like you, I've kind of, I don't want to say basic songs, but they have like a 15 to 20 song canon, of the Radiohead songs, and
Yeah.
I've mostly been dipping into that. But my number 7, I think, sort of feeds into my love of this album, and it is the Bends, the title track.
Ooh,
I
there you
absolutely love
go.
the song. There's just something about it. It's so easy to listen to. I've probably one of my most played Radiohead tracks over the
Mhm.
years. The bass line is incredible. The guitar solos are just off the charts. The passionate vocal delivery from Tom. It's
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
that sweet spot for me where Pablo Honey was maybe a bit too seeped in the melodrama.
Mhm.
This is like melodramatic, but not depressing. It's very,
Yeah. It
very,
strikes that balance, right?
yeah. It's just before they got super existential and depressing. So
Yeah.
yeah, the Bends is fantastic. It's just a great rock song, and I
Mhm.
recently listened to a few albums from U2. Uh,
Mhm.
People will know if they've watched my channel that I don't like U2 to be honest,
You
but
too. They're a polarizing group.
I will say I love the album War, and
Mhm.
when I was listening to that, I was like, wow, you could tell that Tom was listening to a lot of early U2
Yeah.
when he was starting out, because there's a very similar vocal style on this
Mhm.
album in particular, on the rocking tracks. And
No.
also, the guitar playing is reminiscent of some of the stuff the Edge was doing back then. So I know there are a lot of people, older people in my audience who do like U2. And if you like
Mhm.
U2's War, then the Bends might be an album for you. Maybe give it a spin.
Yeah, I've listened to War before, and Boys decent as well. That early U2 stuff, but I've never made the connection between that and the Bends here. But now that you mention it, I was like, yeah, even in the guitar work and playing, I would be curious to look that up and see if any of the band members have ever mentioned any influence from U2 at all. Because you would think it would kind of line up when their timeline a little bit. I don't know, but
Yeah, no, especially when because I know when they obviously released the On Friday EP, and the first song on that just sounds like the Smiths. So they were
yeah.
still trying to figure out, their influences. They obviously covered the Smiths as well, and so I think they were really into that sort of 80s alternative kind of scene. So yeah.
No, that's yeah. I love that you picked that, man, and I'm maybe going to surprise you. I have it on my list too,
Wow.
actually. And
Wow.
I thought it might be a little polarizing to put it on, but I'm glad you put it on the list.
Yeah.
It's not my next song though. My next song, my number 6, is another one. You were talking kind of about the Radiohead canon. This is one that many point to as one of their finest works, and it's coming off the epic OK Computer. It is going to be Paranoid Android. The three different parts of a song. Tom even has noted in interviews that he kind of went and referred to it as 3 different states of mind, which you can definitely tell in the music because it shifts so abruptly, right? But I think this is one of their finest hours just in the musical arrangement, right? And I mentioned it in our ranking review, but I think the closing "God loves his children" section just really kind of fits that cold, bleak, almost post-apocalyptic theme that a lot of of the music on OK Computer really has, especially with the distorted guitar that goes in. I think Johnny is on fire on this track, and just when you put in the musical epicness with the lyrics that touch on capitalism, violence in general, and just kind of insanity, like it's just kind of all a match made perfect in heaven. And it's not one of my most listened to tracks per se from Radiohead. It's kind of a track that I think works best in the context of a full album listen, maybe. But it's just still so impressive to me musically that I couldn't not put it on my list here at number 6.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that I did a top 10 Radiohead songs on your channel. I had 2 + 2 = 5. I haven't had any of the last. I didn't have any of the last 3 that I mentioned on that list.
Really? Yeah, I should have went back and looked.
Yeah, I did have Paranoid Android. We'll see if it shows up for me again. We'll see.
I like it. Stick
I
around,
will,
folks.
I will say my top 6 are all songs that did make that list. I think I might have to go back and double check that, but I'm pretty sure these all made it. So these are kind of the mainstays. That was 2 years ago, year and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in that.
So it's interesting that there's a time capsule element to this as well. My number 6, this has been probably as high as number 2 on my list at different points. We're going to finally dip into In Rainbows, not for the last time. Reckoner is my song.
Ooh, love it, man. Love it.
Incredible little guitar riff. I remember learning it on the guitar and I was like, it's a lot easier than I thought, but it still sounds amazing. You can play it on an acoustic or, any kind of setting and it'll sound great. It's very sort of memorable and groovy as well. Like a lot of the guitar parts on In Rainbows, the production on this album, obviously I made the claim in the last video, it was the best sounding album of all time.
It's just gorgeous.
And obviously Tom's vocals, the falsetto here is I would say it's never been better, but he tops it on that album. So his vocals are at their absolute peak on this album. And I remember hearing someone described In Rainbows as if you're in with Radiohead is Tom's vocals, then In Rainbows is going to be one of your favorites. But if that connection isn't there and your connection is with the music, you might prefer some of the other albums. So
that's a good point, because I know, I've talked to some people who just can't get behind Tom's vocals, which I guess I could see, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, man. Tom's got quite the range too, just throughout their catalog, and so I'm with you, man. I think this song's fantastic. I love the vocal performance, and I have it on my list as well, a little higher up though.
There are some songs where I can see the issues people have with Tom's, especially on the bends. There's moments on Sulk and Bones, which I had to take some time to get used to because they're a bit, and 2 + 2 = 5 as well. When he gets a bit wild, I can kind of see that. Top 5.
Dude, top 5. Number 5, a song you just touched on a little bit. This is where I have the Benz title track slotted in. My only track from the Benz, but it's interesting, as I was going through here, I was thinking, oh yeah, Street Spirit Fade Out is probably my favorite track on that. But then as I was, going through re-listening, I was like, man, the Benz is just such a fun and great rocker, just a pure rocker, man, that it still, I think, showcases some of that experimentation on the vocals, with being a bit muffled at points where, I wish it was the 60s. I wish we could be happy. I wish it just has a certain type of charm, I think, to it that blends well, again, with a bit of that noisy, distorted guitar at points. And I just think the riff is just a classic as well. And it just, all in all, makes the song come together kind of as a, and especially too, man, it's early on in that track listing as well. We talked about it on our rankings, just how strong the bend starts off. And yeah, man, just a great rocker, and one that I would have liked to seen live kind of in that mid 90s period, man, really pulling it off with that youthful passion, but yeah, great song. Probably not one, as you kind of mentioned, that will appear on most people's top 10s, but I had to give it some love, man, and I'm glad you did too.
Yeah, I'm surprised. That is not one I thought we would both have. That's cool. I mean, again, I'd bring up again the bass line on that song is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
The ba-doom boom ba 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 boom. That's such a, yeah, just the momentum of the song is amazing. I'm gonna go back to back from In Rainbows. I promise it's not all In Rainbows for the rest of the way, but it's not far off. My number 5 is going to be the opening track. You mentioned it, 15 Step. Strange time signature, great electronic pulsing beat intro. I remember the first time I heard it, I had to like turn it off because I was not ready to hear this kind of music.
No, man, like even those opening seconds, man, it demands it's a track that demands your attention.
So I had to come back to it later, and then I didn't even get far enough to realize there was a guitar that came in. But once that guitar comes in, that sort of the clean tone of it is just gorgeous. I can't get enough of that guitar tone on In Rainbows. It's like every element of that album is so perfectly crafted. The guitar licks are so memorable. It's kind of the only song on the album where Tom's vocals, well, this and Body Snatchers, the only songs where Tom's vocals kind of take the back seat. It's very much a musical soundscape of a song. It's just great. It's infectious. I could listen to it a million times and not get tired of it, and I might have already.
No, I really do think it's one of those songs too, Tom. Like once it hooks you in, you're hooked. You're hooked for life, dude. It's such a catchy track, and though it didn't make my top 10, I can see, for all the reasons you mentioned, why it's on yours, man. And just man, yet again, just what a killer way to open your record too with this. It's like, okay, what do we got coming up?
For sure.
Well, I'm gonna stick in Rainbow's Love. We're gonna with my number 4, we're going to some weird fishes, Tom. There's some weird fishes swimming in the waters, man. Man, this is a song too, we talked about Let Down earlier and a couple others that just build up so well. I think this song just crescendos so exquisitely, man. Killer bass line on this track as well. Touching lyrics, I think too. And then mentioning somebody that we haven't really talked about in this video, but I think it's one of Phil Selway's best drumming performances as well. He is such a solid foundation for the group in general, but he gets overshadowed by Tom or Johnny or whatever the case may be, which I understand, but wanted to throw him some love. And I think the coda in this song in particular kind of brings all the optimism of the track just crashing down underneath it, and the reality of your situation is kind of brought back to you as you're kind of going down. And so all that to say, man, I think the progression of this track and just the way that Tom's able to really convey the passion and feeling in this song is almost unrivaled in their catalog. So I have it at my number 4 spot.
Great stuff. My number 4, I'm gonna dip back into OK Computer for a second time. The album
Okay.
behind Trey there, above him there.
Well, there we
There
go.
we go. Yeah. Yeah, my favorite song on OK Computer, Airbag. It always has been,
Yep.
for as long as I can remember. I talked about it in the albums video. I think that line, in an interstellar burst, I'm back to save the universe. It's something, one of my favorite lyrics of all time. Sort of a mantra I've taken with me.
Yeah.
The backstory of the song, obviously with the car crash he was in,
Mhm.
just fantastic. And I think you brought it up in the albums video, the fact that it was this machinery. It's like Catch 22, that it was machinery. The car is the machinery that he crashed in, but equally the airbag was the machinery that saved him.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. The two sides of the coin, right?
yeah. So again, the sort of a stop-start bass line to this song, which I really love. Colin's bass lines are just amazing.
Oh yeah.
Amazing drums from Phil as well. Textured guitars, very tasteful, not too sort of wild. Very different to something like the Bends, the song, which is a bit more sort of, all over the place with the guitar, which I love. But you can tell it's sort of a more mature band coming in with this song. And yeah, I love every second of it, and it's my number 4. So.
No, man, I'm glad that you gave it a shout. It is such a great way to open such an iconic record. It's probably not, honestly, even in my top 5 OK Computer songs, which just I think shows
I don't think it is for most people. Yeah,
the strength of that record, man. But I mean, all the reasons you describe, I agree with everything you said, man. It's such a well constructed song, and yeah, I'm gonna stick with that same record here for my number 3, for a song that I know you're not incredibly high on, but this is a very kind of personal touch as well, because this is the song that I really I think it's the first Radiohead song I like really fell in love with, forced me to listen to OK Computer, and then the rest was history. But I'm going with Karma Police, number 3 right here. I think I listened to this maybe freshman year of college, so I was like 18, and I don't even know how I came across it, but from then I was like, okay, I got to check more of this group out right here, and obviously a big hit for them at the time. And I think that the lyrics just really do stand the test of time as well, hoping that, others get their standards of comeuppance. Where's that karma police gonna come in when you don't really look to yourselves, that, okay, the karma police maybe is going to come and get you as well. It's funny in my notes, because you just mentioned him, Colin Greenwood. I think his bass line on here is very nice, deserves a shout out. Guitar melody is so catchy as well. And then I think the ending vocal performance by Tom, like, for a minute there I lost myself. You can just really kind of tell the pain that he's experiencing in that, or just kind of the lost nature. And then there's kind of the ooh, it's kind of harmonizing in the background. Kind of gives you a bit of that spacey type of vibe, especially if you're listening with some good headphones, and just really shows how emotionally touching that Radiohead can be. So kind of a basic little pick in here, man, but I've always loved it, and it has that sentimental value on top of it for me. So had to get in my my top 3 here. Rarefied Air.
Well, sometimes it's basic for a reason,
Yeah.
There's a reason why people talk about the song. You also, thanks for that, putting me in hot water again. I like Karma Police, and now people are going to be like, oh, he hates How to Disappear Completely. And
So like, this guy really does have the hot takes.
Karma Police is a great song. It'd probably be in a top 30, maybe. But I just, a lot of people say it's the best Radiohead song. I don't quite say that. It's great, and it was deserving to be one of their biggest hits. Number 3, this is when I have Creep in my top. No, I'm not going to do
that. See, you pulled it. I was going to get to 1 and say I have Creep right here.
Oh, well. Man, I mean, I was going to say my top 3, but my top 4 really, all among my all-time favorite songs. Splitting Leaves is like picking between kids, which I don't have, but this is the closest I'll come to picking between kids, I suppose. Unless we end up doing a Bowie video at some point, that'd be
that's right.
That'd be a pretty tough ask. But yeah, my number 3 is Nude.
I was waiting for. I know you're high on this track, man.
I was rambling about it quite a lot in the albums video. The sort of the scratchy guitar work, the amazing sort of the way the bass sounds on this song. It's so deep and like penetrates the
Oh
ears.
yeah.
You know, the soundscape of the song is incredible. Again, I can't get over how good the guitar work is. It's so tasteful. Again, is the word. It's like, you know, it's a common thing to say about a stripped back album. Is it's as if they fully fleshed out the songs and then we're like, okay, let's strip everything back and figure out only the stuff that we need. And that's my
Yeah.
kind of album, really. It's just fantastic. And obviously, you can't talk about the song without talking about Tom York's vocals.
Ooh.
I think maybe you'd agree it's his best vocal performance. If not, it's
If it's not, it's really up there. I mean, he's just on point every second of this track.
Yeah, especially that sort of the ooh towards the end. Like, I'm not able to hit that note. I shouldn't even try. But the really,
but hey, I knew exactly what you were talking about, though.
Yeah, when we do someone like Nick Cave, I'll be a lot more easily to be able to hit the notes. But yeah, just absolutely fantastic. Especially that bit is just it's transcendent. It, you know, it sort of blows my mind. That song again, not one I loved immediately. I sort of gravitated to other songs on In Rainbows more. Obviously, I loved 15 Step before this one, and Reckoner and other songs on In Rainbows. But this one grew on me a lot. I think it's actually higher than it was when I did the last list. So can't complain about the song. It's absolutely perfect. Every second of it. Wouldn't change a single note, a single anything. It's just fantastic. It's flawless. But it's number 3.
Yeah. Whenever, yeah, and those songs are rare, right? Where you're like, dude, there's not a second wasted on here. And yeah, man, I'm glad you gave it a shout, because I mean, it is fantastic. And I mean, in Rainbow, starting with 15 Step, Body Snatchers, and then Nude. I mean, all of those have appeared on our list. And then Weird Fishes as well, you know, appearing on mine. So I mean, just shows just the brilliance of In Rainbow. So no, I like that pick there, Tom. And my number 2 is going to be one that you touched on earlier. It's my dad's number 1. It's going to be
I thought this would be it. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So have that. I mean, one of my favorite songs, not only by Radiohead, but just in general, man. It's one too that is really, you know, I enjoyed it, you know, first time I heard it, but it wasn't to this level. And just the more you listen to it, the more it kind of sinks its teeth into you, so to speak, man. And I think it just carries that sense of melancholy, obviously, in the lyrics, and yet the music sounds so pretty at points, right, and uplifting in a sense. But and this is another, not on the level of Nude, but I think it's another really strong Tom vocal performance. And I think it just, again, shows how talented Radiohead are in general at composing a track that builds kind of that emotional tension and catharsis, especially towards the end of their songs. You know, like 3 minutes into this track, you just get that beautiful release of the music, and I don't know, it'll make you feel some type of way. But yeah, Let Down, I couldn't not have it on my list, and I didn't know where it would land. You know, shoot, some days it might be my number 1, other days it might be my 5 or 6, but on this day, on this beautiful day, it is at my number 2.
Well, I mean, to say, you know, it probably does lay the groundwork for Nude in some ways. He doesn't quite hit the high notes he does in Nude, but the vocal layering especially sort of feels very In Rainbows.
Oh yeah,
sort of stands out on that album. So yeah, I mean, I think you knew what my top 2 were going to be. I think you know the order as well. I think anyone who's ever had a conversation with me about Radiohead knows what my top 2 songs are, but a lot of you haven't, so you can wait in suspense. I'll drag this out as long as I can. My number 2, we're going to be going back to In Rainbows. My favorite song on In Rainbows. Trey's already had it on his list. Weird Fishes.
Weird Fishes, baby.
You knew it, didn't you? I could tell. You knew this was coming.
Oh, I knew, because I know for sure what your 1 is, you know, so I knew what they were going to be slotted as.
Like you said, percussion fantastic on this song. The arpeggiated guitars, just simple, again, very simple. Again, guitar parts, because I can play them, so it must be simple. And just again, the rhythm of this song is fantastic. It's so danceable, whilst also being really melancholy. Like you said, we've sort of talked about song structure with them, and the way they never really, only occasionally do a sort of verse chorus kind of song. The song is another one that's like very, I don't want to say disjointed, because it works so well as one piece. And yeah, like it has that sort of underwater feel. Again, Tom York with a showstopper vocal performance. It's been covered by so many sort of R&B artists. Leanne La Havas, for one, she has a really great cover of it.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that, because
Yeah.
that whole record that she did is great, but this song in particular, I thought she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
And
for sure. And you can see how it influences a lot of artists as well. Just has such a unique sound. Again, the guitar tones are fantastic. And again, wouldn't change a second of it. It's kind of boring to just talk about songs that you think are perfect, because what do you say?
no, you're right, dude. And I mean, just again, I mean, if you take anything from this video, go listen to In Rainbows if you haven't, right? I mean,
Well, 4 of my top 6 in Rainbows. So
no, that's I'm glad you gave that some more love, Weird Fishes, and I'm staying at In Rainbows for my number 1 too.
I will say, before we get to the number 1, we need to run through some honorable mentions quick. So if you want to just chuck some out. Yeah,
I like that. No, good idea, man. Honorable mentions for me, a couple closers. Videotape off of In Rainbows. True Love Waits, I think one of their great closers and sad song. Pyramid Song, Street Spirit, Fade Out. Idiotech, and How to Disappear Completely from Kid A. Just we're on the outside looking in. I did have Motion Picture Soundtrack, Fake Plastic Trees, and then All I Need, rounding out. And I guess that would be my top 20, but so many of those I was looking, I was like, dude, how can I leave this off? But it's a tough exercise.
For sure, man. And there are a lot of songs that I won't mention in my honorable mentions that would have a great shout at making a top 10 if we did this in a year's time,
Oh yeah.
I was just listening to Pyramid Song today, which I didn't even consider for the list, but I was like, wow, this is a phenomenal song. A song like Codex,
yeah, that's another good shout.
Fantastic songs that I didn't even consider. But I've got 5 honorable mentions. I kind of limited myself. I'm going to actually go to 7, because I wanted to mention a couple that I know were on my list when we talked about it, which are There, and Go to Sleep from Health of the Thief. Also, Sit Down, Stand Up. Great song as well. Just think Health of the Thief is so underrated. But my official 5 honorable mentions, I've actually got them ordered as well. So number 15 was Sulk from the Bends. Absolutely love that song. Ooh. Great rocker. I think it's very underrated. I think people sort of group it as one of the worst songs on the album, but I think it's so catchy. It's so fun. Number 14 is going to be Exit Music for a Film, which I'm surprised that neither of us have.
I know, dude, because I do love that song. And it just it was on the outside, but talking about songs that build up great, right?
Yeah. 13 is Body Snatchers, so another In Rainbow song there. And then 12 and 11, both from A Moon-Shaped Pool. I got Daydreaming at 12 and True Love Waits at 11. So just nice. But yeah, so back to the number 1. I have no idea what this is, by the way. I don't know.
Well, it's going to be, and after much deliberation, I was like, okay, you know what? This might be honestly my most listened to Radiohead song these days, and it actually did appear on your list here. It's Reckoner, coming in at number 1 for me, which I've harped on the greatness of In Rainbows, and I'm just going to keep doing it, man. I just think that this song is, again, it starts with some gorgeous percussion by Selway here, and for my money, it's got to be a top tier Tom York vocal performance. Again, you mentioned the falsetto that he hits in this track right here with the Reckoner, and he just, well, it takes it up to such a high note right there. And in that ending, I think those last 90 seconds, Tom, maybe my favorite 90 seconds of any Radiohead track or whatever. And I just think the cathartic nature of that, where he, you know, just kind of wails out, you know, that Reckoner, and it's just an emotional track in a lot of senses as well. It's beautiful. Their performance of this, you know, in the basement, performance is really strong as well. Definitely check that out, because they perform, you know, most of the tracks from In Rainbows on there, and they kill it, man. Yeah, I think you got the pretty strings in there as well, and I don't know, it just all kind of the best parts of Radiohead for me are all just encompassed in Reckoner, and you know, like you said, I mean, you ask me in a week, or for surely in a year, it very well might not be number one, but today, man, it's at the top of the mountain.
Absolutely fair choice. I had it at number 6. Love that song, always have. I completely get it, you know.
Yeah.
I also like how you had to put How to Disappear completely on your honorable mentions, man, to just put me in the mud even more. Because now everyone's like, oh well, at least that Trey guy knows what he's talking about. But
no, man. Well, I did that partially just for you, Tom. You know,
3 Kid A songs on the honorable mentions. That's too many.
Hey, at least I didn't put Tree Fingers, right? Then you would have had.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bad song. That's a bad song. But that's a story for another day. Number 1, top 5 song of all time for me. It always has been since I first listened to it. It's sort of completely changed.
I will attest to that, because I remember you telling me this was one of your favorite songs ever, and you know, it's held true through the years.
Yeah, I mean, if I'd be saying This Must Be the Place by Talking Heads, God Only Knows, the Beach Boys, and then this might be number 3. And it's Fake Plastic Trees from the Bends.
Love it.
Absolutely tragic song. Definitely for me the best set of lyrics Tom York's ever written. Incredible vocal performance. There's like 3 singers on this now. And what I love about it is that it is an incredible vocal performance while being so not similar to the incredible vocals on In Rainbows, where it's not quite that high falsetto. It's a more sort of relatable, it's a more sad voice to me.
Yeah.
It's more in line, which checks out with Jeff Buckley. Of course, there's a story that you saw Jeff Buckley in concert, recorded this take that's on the album, and then burst into tears. So you can kind of
you really feel that emotion in the track. And I think that I think I've heard that story before, but I forgot that it was for this track, for Fake Plastic Trees. But that makes sense, dude, when you listen to it.
It's also a great song title as well, and sort of the idea of feeling disconnected from the world. And like, you know, I sort of talked about this. I just filmed a Replacements top 10 songs, and I was talking about this with Brian about Here Comes a Regular, and how that song is about, you know, there's stuff in the world that should be for you, but you don't feel like you can take it because you don't feel attached to reality. And you feel like you're sort of drifting away and not sort of focused. And that's kind of the vibe I get from this song. They're kind of similar in that way, these 2 songs, the sort of the acoustic vibe of them, and lyrically quite similar as well, in the sort of the existential stuff they're talking about. And just on top of that, it's the very tasteful, again, you know, on this album, the Bends, they know how to rock out, but they know how to strip it all back, and
and
the little
slow it down a bit.
The little organ in the refrain is great. And then when it gets loud towards the end, it's not too loud to the point where it feels like, oh, we're doing it gets loud at the end. It's like it's enough to, again, you talk about catharsis, and they are the kings of it, really. So it's always going to be one of my all-time favorite songs. It's one of the songs that really changed the way I listen to music. And yeah, I'll always love it. Again, weirdly, I don't really listen to it that much these days, but whenever I do, the magic's still there. And I feel like if I listen to it a lot, I probably would be less happy than I am.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, and I really like the point you noted about how it kind of really does speak to that disconnection that people experience, especially in our modern day world. People point to OK Computer for being, kind of ahead of its time in that regard. But I've never really thought of Fake Plastic Trees like that until you mentioned it. And I was like, you know what, you're really right. Like, and I agree with you. I think it's one of Tom's better set of lyrics. And it was on my honorable mentions. It was definitely in contention though for my top 10. And yeah, I know how much you love the track. So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be Tom's number one. But I didn't know
me before we started saying that you knew what my number one was. And I was like, well, we'll see, but it's never going to be anything else.
No, man, I'm glad you gave it the shout in love that it deserves. And yeah, just a gorgeous and really, really great track.
Yeah, so that'll do it. That's our Radiohead top 10 songs. A bit longer than the normal song rankings I tend to do, but I think it's cool to sort of go a bit in depth on our personal feelings on these songs. Obviously, more so than the albums, I feel like the choices you're going to pick for songs is going to be a lot more personal.
Definitely.
And I think, especially with a band that we're both so fond of, that's especially true. I think we shared 3 or 4.
I think we shared
Let Down, The Bends, Reckoner,
Weird Fishes,
and Fake Plastic Trees. So you were right on the money. You said no, we didn't have Fake Plastic Trees. 4.
Mm-hmm. So we had 4. Yeah, we had 4, and we both had True Love Waits. You had it at 11. I had it at 12. So
there we go.
Yeah, so we, I didn't know with a band that has such a large catalog. I thought, I was like, maybe we'll have a handful or 3 or 4. I didn't know, but I could have seen us only having like one overlapping, saying that as well, because there are so many quality tracks. But yeah, I think that just highlights what a fantastic group Radiohead is. And there's so many deep cuts in here. I'm sure like you can make a top 50 and still have so many quality tracks in a great playlist, right? And
and they only have about 90 songs.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing too, whereas most bands, or not most, but some groups, you dip outside 20, 25 songs, it's like, okay, this quality's definitely taking a nosedive here. And with Radiohead, it's not really like that.
Yeah, I mean, you said we'd share 5, I said we'd share 3, and we shared 4. So
yeah, right in the middle.
Yeah. So and who would have thought we both share the Bends? That's crazy.
That was the biggest, because that was one on mine, Tom. I was like, I don't think that this was going to overlap at all. Yeah. Like, but hey, I was mistaken.
Well, I mean, thanks a lot for joining me.
Oh yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Hopefully the comments are as mean to you as they were to me. That's just fine.
Bring it on. Bring it on, people.
All in good.
I'll be there to respond.
They'll be like, myxomatosis? What about daydreaming?
Oh no, yeah, that's the one that the Sword and Shield are already prepared for right there. All my myxomatosis lovers, stand up. I need you.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, it's a personal list, but this won't be the last time you see Trey on the channel, I hope, if he'll come back.
Definitely.
I think it's cool that we can do the album ranking over on your channel and the song ranking over on mine. I think that works quite well. So yeah, I mean, that's all there is to say, really. Subscribe to Reactions to the Classics, closing in on 20K, if I'm correct.
Dude, that's right. About the time of this recording, we're about 40 away. So big milestone there. And cheers to Tom and so many other that have supported the channel from the early days, man. Love to have you over there. A lot of reviews for a lot of these records that we talked about today. And as we mentioned a bunch, really be sure to go check out that Radiohead album ranking that Tom and I did. Really fun discussion there, and some good comments already with people giving their own takes and Radiohead lists and experiences. So yeah, thanks for having me on, man. And we'll be looking forward to seeing people's list down here as well for their songs. Yeah, we'll try and do this. I think we talked about doing this monthly. Maybe we'll see what we can do, and see how things go in the future. But thanks for watching, and keep listening to Radiohead.